Evening all, Cristo here on Talk Radio with Talk Radio Drive. Coming up after 6 o'clock, we'll find out what's happening stateside. We'll have more of your calls as well. In fact, we'll try and fit some in this hour as well about Molly Mayhew. And in fact, that's one of the big stories of the last 24 hours. And let's put this to our political panel. On the left, we have the chief economist at the New Economics Foundation, Alfie Sterling. On the right, Jason Reed, the political commentator. Now, in a moment, hello to you both, by the way. Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
In a moment, we'll play you the Molly Mayhew clip and remind you of what she had to say. And, of course, it all comes in the context of the Prime Minister's approval rating continuing to drop. Firstly, what do you think is going wrong for Boris Johnson? I mean, people voted for a Conservative Prime Minister, but we're seeing higher taxes, higher cost of living, inflation going through the roof. Not very Conservative at all, is it, Alfie Sterling?
Well, I would step back actually even further. It's not even about perhaps some of those smaller issues and kind of what is conservatism and whether he's done what's expected. If you step back, we've had, as a country, one of the worst public health records globally coming through this pandemic. That is attributable to policy, government policy. People have lost loved ones, people have died, hundreds of thousands of people have got sick. We've had the worst economic performance in the G7 last year in 2020 and 2021. So again, that's down to government policy, what this government has decided to do. People are poorer in this country than they would otherwise have expected to be if they'd lived somewhere else. And then you've got the sleaze and, borderline corruption in terms of one rule for some people and one rule for others. And people see that and it makes them angry. Whether that's, some of us going to Burn Castle and visiting Castle in Durham while everyone else is locked down, or it's Christmas parties while others were not able to visit loved ones. The list goes on and it makes people angry.
Jason, I mean, do you agree with that it's almost inconsequential about whether these policies are ideologically Tory or not? The party that is in power has brought a lot of this on themselves.
I'm sure they've brought a lot of it on themselves, but I think it's very noteworthy, the fact that the government has not been what people expected, what people thought they were voting for in 2019. Now, of course, the 2019 election was dominated by Brexit, and Boris is widely viewed to have delivered Brexit, although there are still some tensions rumbling up around that. But he's transformed since then into an entirely different politician. He campaigned in 2019 for the Tory leadership on a platform of rolling back the continuing creep of the nanny state. And of course, we've seen over the last couple of years how that has not taken shape, not just with COVID, but in countless other policy areas as well. We're seeing tax rises to the point that a lot of people are starting to question, a lot of Conservatives like myself are starting to question, why should we actually be voting for Boris at this point? What is it that he actually does for me?
I find it staggering. I'm sorry to say it. And I can't say I told you so anymore, but as an ideological Conservative myself, I didn't vote for Boris Johnson. I wouldn't vote for Boris Johnson. I would never vote for the Conservative Party while he's in charge, while there is breath in my body. And I find it staggering no one knew. I mean, maybe I had the benefit of having lived in London with him as being mayor, but the man has not spoken a word of truth in anything he's ever said in probably the last 20 years. And by doing so, he has been elevated to the highest office in the country. I find it staggering that a man who lies so easily is rewarded by being Prime Minister. And I find it staggering people didn't know this beforehand, that this is a surprise to some people. But Jason, you must have known that Get Brexit Done was a load of rubbish, that Boris is actually a Remainer, that all of that stuff about rolling back the state was just the stuff he was saying to try and please the Tory faithful, because he doesn't believe a word of it.
Well, I would never say that I thought Boris Johnson was an honest or a trustworthy man, even back in 2019, but he ran a very, very strong campaign, two campaigns, in fact, both for the leadership of the Tory party and then in the general election later that year. And I'm afraid I did believe him when he said he intended to roll back the nanny state. And I think at that time he believed himself as well. Now, perhaps I'm just part of the population of people that's been taken in by his lies that you apparently spotted earlier, because you're smarter and more perceptive than I am, Cristo. But unfortunately, I was taken in. We were taken for a ride, and everyone who voted Tory in 2019 I think, has been taken for
I mean,
a ride.
Alfie, you must be absolutely spitting feathers that you put up such a weak candidate as opposed to Boris Johnson then in the last election. Because bearing in mind how many people knew he was a dishonest man, they still chose him over Jeremy Corbyn. You say that we're in this position now because of the Conservatives choosing the policies that they have. Well, again, the Labour Party, my God, if they had come up with someone credible for the last election, there's an argument to say we wouldn't be in any of this mess.
Well, I mean, I didn't put up anyone at the last election. I'm certainly not speaking for the Labour Party or nor particularly like Jeremy Corbyn. I'm spitting feathers because people have died. Tens of thousands of people have died who needn't have, and hundreds of thousands of people are poorer. If you compare when Boris Johnson took power in 2019 December to last December just gone, on average, the poorest people, 50% of people across the population, are £110 worse off on average a year now since then, and the richest 5% are £3,300.
All right, listen, Alfie, just to jump in, I'm sorry, we're having real problems with your microphone at the moment. You're fading in and out. So while we try and sort that out, I don't know whether Alfie's able to watch what we're going to be playing of Molly Mayhew, because I wouldn't want him to miss it if we're going to have him comment on it. We'll just come back to him at the moment. I think he's just sorting out his microphone, eh? Technology. Okay, why don't we, in the meantime, remind ourselves of the words of Molly Mayhew, which of course such a stir, and her explaining her strategy for, I guess, making it in modern life.
If you want something enough, you can achieve it, and it just depends to what lengths you want to go to get where you want to be in the future. And I'll go to any length. Like, I've worked my absolute arse off to get where I am now.
So if you want something enough, you can achieve it. Well, have we got them both back now? And is Alfie's microphone, have you sorted out your microphone now, Alfie? I think it...
I hope so.
Good. All right. We just heard from Molly Mayhew there. If you want something enough, you can achieve it. Her actual words as well. And essentially saying you've got the same 24 hours in the day. Everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. And although she was speaking about her own personal experience, essentially the message was go out there, work hard, work your backside off, and you can achieve anything. Alfie, why are so many people so distressed at what I think is a really brilliant and inspiring message from a young person?
Well, I think because it's a fallacy. It's not true. I mean, if it's just in general terms, hard work is really important, and it's often needed, but it is often not enough. You need things like contacts, networks, privilege, wealth, access, education. These are things that aren't born from your own hands as you carve things out. They're bequeathed to you. And actually, if you just take the personal experience, that's like the general point. Okay, it's just a fallacy that if you work hard, you can have anything you want. I can't be the Queen of England, no matter how much hard I work. But more importantly, in terms of the personal experience for Molly May, she was paid reportedly £500,000 to advertise clothing made in factories, where it's now come out that the workers are paid £3.50 an hour. And in fact, she went and visited those factories and was gobsmacked that she was being asked to work a 12-hour shift. So even just take that microcosm, that one experience, who's working harder there? The person who's being paid £500,000 to wear some clothes, or the people working
but that's not her fault. That's not her. I absolutely agree with the criticisms as to why there are circumstances in which it will be more difficult for other people to be able to achieve. And I understand the criticisms about the stagnation of wages, which means that things have shifted in the last 20 years. But none of that is her fault. And if her message and experience, firstly, and secondly, you have got much more likelihood of doing well through hard work than you have through not working hard. I mean, what's the alternative? Well, okay, it might not work out for me, so I just won't bother working hard instead.
Well, one alternative is that we all together tackle structural inequalities, and we care about structural inequalities, and we try to have greater equality of opportunity. I don't think anyone is saying inequality is a particular individual's fault. Clearly, that's not the case. The issue people have with this is the idea that all you need to do is work hard, and anyone can achieve what they want, because that ignores what is the reality in this country and across the world, which is that opportunity is not equal and outcomes are not equal.
But that's life. Life isn't fair. It's unfortunate, but of course, and some people are going to work hard and they're not going to have the outcomes. Jason, I mean, you are a young man yourself as well. I mean, you two are young. I don't include myself in the young man, thanks. But do you feel that Molly May had a bad message to say when she was saying that, and that perhaps there should have been more consideration to the fact that not everyone makes it by working hard, so therefore it was not an appropriate message?
Well, it's easy to say afterwards, isn't it? Why didn't you think of this? Why didn't you think of that? Molly May is not an elected politician. She's not a theorist. She's not a philosopher. She made a perfectly innocent comment that now people who, frankly, don't have anything better to do have decided to pile on her for that. It's the classic situation where you've tweeted something like, "I like carrots," and all the replies are saying, "Why do you hate cauliflower, you racist?" That's clearly not what she was saying. She was just encouraging people to do what they want to do. I got something completely different out of what she said than what a lot of her critics seem to have. It seemed to me like she was encouraging people to make individual choices as best fits their life. She says it's your life and you should do what you want with it. Some people deliberately choose lower paying careers, for example, for various reasons, because it's a vocation or because they want to prioritize other things in life rather than their career. And that's great. People make different choices. She's made her choices and she's apparently done extremely well for herself, which is brilliant. And she's trying to inspire other people who want to replicate her success to do so.
I mean, Alfie, that is a good point. She doesn't actually reference when she says, if you want something enough, you can achieve it through hard work, and we've all got the same 24 hours in a day. She doesn't actually reference, if you want to be a millionaire, you can achieve it. She's basically saying, whatever your dream is, work hard and you can achieve it. Dreams don't always equate to money. You capitalist, Alfie.
No, but look, I mean, whether dreams are money or not, we can't all achieve them through hard work because of the inequalities I was talking about. And look, I think Jason's right. I'm not here supporting a pile on a single person. I certainly would not want to criticize an individual or try and take words out of context. But I think I'm trying to talk about the message and trying to explain why I think it's just wrong to say that people can achieve whatever they want as long as they work hard enough. And also, by being wrong, it is also harmful because it sort of disregards and it sweeps under the carpet all these inequalities that are just a fact of life. And, Cristo, you said, well, so what? We know it's inequality, it's there. That's fine. So we agree on that fact. We can have then different approaches to what we think about it. But acknowledging those facts are important, I think.
I get inequality exists, but I still feel that people should give it their best shot. And I understand what you're saying. Look, it gives an idea that if you haven't achieved anything, you've not worked hard. I understand the implication, and that's something that perhaps that there should be an acknowledgement of. But I love the idea, and I feel that it's become toxic in this country to say, I have ambition. I want to go out and make something of myself. I want to work hard. I want to be wealthy. I think nowadays, since the financial crash, especially of 2008, someone saying, I want to be wealthy, I want to be a millionaire, people look at them like they're insane. Whereas in countries like America, you are applauded. People think you're brilliant if you want to do that. Here in the UK, people think there's something wrong with you if you have that ambition.
Well, I mean, I think that's the issue. It's perhaps a nice idea that anyone could become a millionaire, but the truth is that actually, if one person becomes a millionaire, it's very likely somebody else will have much less money because that's a concentration of income. So, lovely idea, but it's just not the reality. And I think that's what people are taking issue with.
I mean, I don't think we're going to have any more time for any other stories. So, Jason, I'll give you the final word on this.
I want to pick up on what Alfie just said. That's nonsense, I'm afraid. It's not that there's a fixed amount of money in the world and it's a zero-sum game. If someone else is getting richer, I'm getting poorer. That's not how the world works. The world has never worked like that. Innovation and growth mean that people are able to make more money and create more jobs and create technologies that make our lives better. And Molly May wasn't even talking about any of this. She was just saying it's a good idea to work hard and to pursue your dreams. And that seems to me to be a message that no one could possibly object to.
Really good to talk to you both. Really interesting perspectives as well.